Can I really make a difference in the face of climate change? It increasingly feels that there's so much to do. Am I doing enough? How much more do I need to do for there to be change? Like, where do we even go from here? There's a term called eco-anxiety, and it has been growing in the recent years. Eco-anxiety is having a chronic fear of environmental doom and having a sense that our ecological foundation is going to collapse. We did not create this reality, we inherited it. And yet, we are being told that we are the last generation with a chance to save humanity. It feels like such a heavy burden. And ultimately, does it even matter? Do I have eco-anxiety? Anyways, enough of that. Today's video is to answer one very simple question. Can I make a difference?
So there is a limit to individual action. Not saying that it's not important, but systemic change is what we need to address the climate crisis. So a lot of times we hear the narratives of, oh, you need to reduce, reuse and recycle. But we also need to remember that there is a shared responsibility amongst the different stakeholders, like your governments, your corporations, communities and individuals who all have to play a part as we work through this. Yeah.
This is Sarah, a volunteer at Lepak In SG, and she has been advocating for environmental causes since 2019.
So Lepak In SG started out as an informal environmental group. We started out doing an environmental calendar, but we got bored of that and wanted to do more outreach stuff. So along the way, we actually found that there was not much efforts in the systemic climate action space. We wanted to do that. These concepts and policies can be quite complex to understand, so we make it easier for the individual to understand, to learn more and I guess facilitate deeper thinking about particular concepts. So we put different perspectives on the issues and make it more relevant to people, especially for those who may not feel very connected to climate change.
Okay, wait. To provide more context, this is an environmental baseline study that has been published and it's over 100 pages long. So what Lepak In SG does is that they translate this information into bite-sized pieces so it helps people understand the issue better. And they can also have their own input on the bigger scale of things. Why is the onus on individuals or groups like Lepak In SG to make information more accessible to the public? I don't know, but that doesn't sit right with me. But moving on. So what does eco-activism mean to you in the Singapore context?
I guess eco-activism is about people learning about environmental issues and taking a step beyond just their own lifestyles. So moving beyond reducing a straw, rejecting a plastic bag, but also going to try and see where they can influence governments and corporations to take larger actions to reduce the climate impact they have.
So one thing I'm a little bit skeptical about, right, is the role of an individual in terms of like mitigating climate disaster, because it feels like, you know, no matter what we do, it doesn't seem to have any effect.
Individuals do not really have very big impacts on carbon emissions or change the cause of climate change or even like solving our waste issues. So basically, I believe that the systems that we live in shape the way we behave and how we act. So for example, if you want to buy like taping, right, it comes in a disposable cup. But you didn't wake up in the morning saying, I want to use disposable cup. That's why I get taping. If I get taping, then just nice it comes in disposable cup. So if you can shift how the drink store uncle or auntie does it, if they use reusable cups by default, then that system has changed and it would change how you consume or how you use disposables as well.
Ultimately, are we in an apocalyptic, catastrophic scenario that we can't break out of?
I think it really depends on a couple of things. How fast can we decarbonize? How fast can we rethink our economic systems, overconsumption, our relationship with nature, and really limit our carbon emissions? The issue really lies in pushing the people in power, the people with resources, to really recognize the urgency of climate change and that we cannot continue with business as usual.
So here we are in 2022, 4 years after Greta Thunberg has made headlines. So what has changed?
So we see a lot more corporates committing to sustainability pledges and goals. We see a greater shift in biodiversity conservation. And we also see the government publishing the Singapore Green Plan, of which Lepak In SG has actually published a report on the different ways we feel that it could be more ambitious on. So these are some of the things that have happened over the couple of years. But besides all of these things that sound really hopeful, I think we have to remember that we have to hold these people accountable to the pledges and goals they're committing to, and that they have to walk the talk. So a lot of us may not have the influence that Greta Thunberg has, but together we have an impact with the actions that we make.
So how can I actually really make a difference then?
So besides all the individual actions that you can do, you can always engage with brands that you purchase from, MPs who represent you in your GRC. Individually, we all have a sphere of influence, whether it's with our friends, our family, or our workplace, and you can always effect some change amongst them. But ultimately, not everyone is going to care about climate change, which is why it really boils down to systemic change. And what you can do individually is to be a part of that bigger voice.
I think it can be tempting to be apathetic or cynical towards sustainability because we may feel that we're not making a difference. But my biggest takeaway at the end of the day is that narratives matter. What kind of narrative do we want to tell ourselves? One where there's disaster and we cannot do anything? Or one where change can be made? There's this ideology that society is divorced from the individual, but that is not true. Any solutions have to at least come from the individual themselves. I admit that this series is also a narrative, but what I want you to take away from this is that your voice matters. Groups like Lepak In SG are a microcosm of society, and if we have more voices like this, I feel we can make a change for the better.